Well, hi and welcome. Today we're in Warrenton, Virginia. We're at the Fauquier Education Farm. We're here with Mr. Jim Hankins, the executive director of the farm. Jim, we're talking about tomatoes today. And as I talk with gardeners all the time about tomatoes, sometimes they think about how they can trellis these tomatoes up, put big cages around them and things like that. It's kind of expensive and it's a little tedious. But I know you've got a different way to trellis your tomatoes.
We've got a couple different ways that we tie up tomatoes, but here in the greenhouse and in the high tunnel, we're now switching more and more over to using a tomato hook, which is just a single line. You know, this is a tomato hook that is hooking onto a line up above, and as you can see, it's got this good nylon string that goes down. Right. We try to reduce the tomatoes to just one central leader. It's really important that you're cutting off the suckers, you're not letting it branch. Okay. And it works extremely well. It creates a really nice airflow around it. Anybody that's putting tomatoes in a cage, you're confining the leaves, and that's going to increase the disease pressure, and even, you know, you're creating a great place for tomato hornworms to hide.
So Jim, what do you mean exactly by the sucker? What are you taking off of the plant?
Well, you know, tomatoes are very branching plants. So this is a big substantial sucker right here. And if I don't cut it off, then instead of having one plant that's tied onto here, I've got, you know, 7 or 8 different branches. I prefer a good pair of scissors. You know, if you want to, these root, if you need more tomato plants, stick that in some water or some soil. Once you've got the suckers off, and you know, there's a little one right here, you're not cutting off where the fruit are. Okay. And then just the little tomato clip will go in right here, and it will keep on growing. But what I want to do is try to keep it to one stem.
Makes sense. Always leaving the growing point there.
Yes.
Well, it makes sense. I can understand what you're saying here. So show me these clips that you're talking about. You just clip to the main stem down there.
To the main stem on the plant. It is a plastic clip. You know, this is the tomato clip. It, you know, it just locks in there. You can buy them in bulk. You know, in the back of most of the better seed catalogs, you can get all of these materials. Okay. This will last for several years. You know, you can reuse them. Okay. And
how often do you put them on here? Is it just one at the bottom and then one at the top?
You start one at the bottom, and there at first it is about every foot or so. Just like with a Florida weave, as you get a little bit higher, you could go up to maybe 18 inches. And then just another clip and keep it onto the line.
And these are indeterminate varieties of tomatoes.
Yes.
They just keep growing.
They will actually go all the way up, and that's a lovely thing about a tomato hook because there's extra line up there. I can let out another wrap and move the tomato hook over so that it is literally growing diagonally.
Oh, wow, wow.
So that, you know, by August when you come in here, instead of these lines being straight up and down, they'll be 10 feet tall tomatoes, but they're growing diagonally.
So if somebody had 4 or 5 plants in their backyard, could they do the same type of string system?
Really, really easily. The one thing you're going to need are 2 good rigid uprights, you know, to support all of the weight. If you just stick a little pole in the ground, it's going to, you know, so it needs to, think of it like putting up a clothesline. Now the line across the top, you're going to need a good metal cable. We literally do have clothesline material up there, but it is a covered, you know, a plastic covered metal cable, because this is going to support a lot of weight. Each one of these plants can easily have 10 or 15 pounds of tomatoes. We expect big things from these tomato plants.
I think you'll do well. They look great right now.
Well, thanks.
Well, Jim, thank you for letting us come out today and talk about how you trellis tomatoes.
Always a pleasure.
Well, for more information how you can trellis your tomatoes, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website, at ext.vt.edu.